Hi everyone, and welcome back to the GuideWell Insights Lounge. We're here at Singularity University's Exponential Medicine, and I'm delighted to have another guest join us right now in the lounge. This is Milind Kamkolkar. Milind, welcome to the interview.
Thank you so much.
Milind has a fascinating position. He is the global head of next-gen analytics at Novartis. Milind, first of all, tell me a little bit about your experience at XMed.
Oh, so far it's been amazing. I mean, just connecting with like-minded professionals from all disciplines, you know, everything from artists to physicians, pharma, peers.
Right.
It's been incredible, and I think there is a genuine passion that we recognize the system's broken, and it's up to us at a minimum to be the change catalyst to change things.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm sure that part of that solution to this broken system is big data. How do you think that big data will continue to evolve the patient experience?
So it's a good question, right? So I look at big data. I think what we do with big data today is still little data. I don't think we're anywhere close to doing big data, and because what we view as big data is just a big patient record or a series of big patient records. But if we truly aim to help in big data and helping patients, we need to look at behavioral intelligence, emotional intelligence, psychological intelligence, and environmental intelligence, because all of those impact healthcare. Over a period of time.
You know, so I mean, that's obviously a very holistic view.
Yeah.
Are you helping to build really what that infrastructure would look like so that data is really actionable?
Absolutely. So I think, you know, one of the personal mantras that I have in this space is how do we create a more informed society? And to create a more informed society, a lot of the times we know that these things exist. If it's cloudy outside or if we know there's a high pollen count, you're probably going to give a child Claritin. When they go to school, you know, they're probably not going to be on par all the time because they're probably suffering a little bit.
Right.
But we've never had the chance to quantify that. So I think it comes in a couple of different forms. Data storytelling, data journalism, algorithms, and fundamentally a good way of visualizing the information that's presented to you.
And I think that visualization is so key because I think it really does make that so much more accessible, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so Milind, I know that you are an entrepreneur, you're a very creative thinker. What's the advice that you could give someone in the healthcare industry if they're trying to bring a new healthcare system to market?
So I think the thing is scale. It all comes down to scale. I think part of the reason why we struggle with data access and data fragmentation is simply because we've done one thing very well at a major institute, but haven't been able to replicate that across several institutes. Secondly, we don't take into account cultural biases.
Right.
So implementing it across the world, even though that we know, I mean, you know, we've had a discussion internally where we said, so what does American look like and what do they sound like? And everyone stood around the room and it was multicultural, right?
Right.
So when you start dealing with attributes like that, you simply can't say it's another white male age 65 to a black man.
Absolutely. So I'm sure, you know, having that perspective here specifically at Exponential Medicine, you've got the right players in the room, don't you, to have those conversations?
Absolutely.
Milind, another question for you. What does the empowered patient of tomorrow look like?
So to me, I think the best answers we find for this are asking our children. They are the future empowered patients.
Yeah.
They are the kids that actually are going to come through and are going to start demanding certain ways in which we engage with them.
That's right.
I would almost argue it's beyond an app anymore. It's around building customer experiences of every touch point in the patient journey. And I think the second thing is patients don't want to be called patients anymore. They're customers. As an industry, we provide services to customers. So how are we fulfilling the premise of a great customer engagement? I like analyzing, sometimes we think this, one of the biggest issues in healthcare today is when a patient comes on board, day one of onboarding of a new medication, what do I do? Where do I start? So I looked at companies like eBay, who are the masters of email,
right,
of first click interaction and ensuring that the next click is always following on a succession of that first point they ever engage with you. And I think that's where the opportunities are for us. Healthcare today, to me, is no longer an industry, it is everything. When we're in cars, it's healthcare. When we're flying, there's healthcare. When we're at school, there's healthcare. When we're at work, there's healthcare. Healthcare is everywhere.
Right.
And it's our job to make those connection points.
You know, so Milind, I think that you resonate so many of the themes that some of our other interviews have surfaced. Health is social. We have to be part of our tribe. Our tribe has to be informed and engaged. So too do the clinicians who interact with us.
Absolutely.
And I love the fact that you really talk about bringing in our children. You know, obviously, this generation coming up in such a digital age, the expectation is just quantifiably different, won't it be, from you know, from where we sit today?
Absolutely, and you know, I look at people my own age. I mean, I'm not a spring chicken either, but you know, young at heart.
Right.
But you know, I look to this and I still think, you know, despite being a geneticist by training, if I go and buy myself a medication for a common cold, I'm bamboozled with what on earth I need to buy. I look in an aisle and I have no clue, and more often than not, it's probably just the color of the box that I'll probably pick out at the end of the day.
Right.
Or it might just be, we all know that generics sometimes are just better, right?
Right.
And I say that with all due respect for where I work at, but I think at some point, there's going to be this time where customer experience has to be done at the customer level. So knowing who your audience is and delivering that customer experience, focus on their age, on their behaviors, and all those things.
And Milind, you mentioned something else that I think is really critical. This was a theme that came up earlier. People don't want to be called patients.
Right.
They're people.
Yep.
Maybe they're sick now, but that doesn't define who they are, or even if they have a chronic condition,
Absolutely.
They know that they don't want to be typecast. So I think that the work and the focus that you have is really critical to understanding that people are much more than just an illness.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I have one more question for you.
Sure.
I know that you're really engaged in social media,
Oh, yeah.
and I love the fact that you really seem to have fun with it. Can you tell us, what do you get out of having a social connection?
Oh gosh, to me, I'm kind of smart, but I'm not the smartest guy in the room, and let alone the smartest guy on the web. And I like to think that sometimes I like to be the stupidest person in the room, because then you get to ask the most uninteresting or potentially insightful questions.
Right.
So for me in social media, it's sometimes just about asking the obvious and getting peer review around what do other people think who are infinitely more qualified than I am,
Right.
or from people who aren't and just want to have a voice.
Right.
Because I think that balances out where we need to focus and what the reception of certain ideas are going to be like.
Well, I think that having you engaged in tweet chats or other social conversations obviously must elevate the conversations that are happening on the web. So I would love for you to tell us what's your Twitter handle so that people can certainly follow you there, and anywhere else that
sure.
you're active socially.
Absolutely. So I think between Facebook, that's probably my personal one, but I'm opening up a lot more on that one.
Okay.
Twitter is kind of, I would say, my commercial brand, if that's appropriate to say.
And he has, let me stop you, you have the best Twitter bio on Twitter. You hadn't seen, now you have to check it out.
All right, so
Yeah.
it's at Milind Kam, at MILINDKAM.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Milind, thank you so much. It was delightful having you
Thank
here
you so much.
at the Guidewell Insights Lounge. I look forward to having our next guest up soon. Please be sure to join us again shortly.
Thank you.